I think it's one of those things because it's not at the front of a game. Sound design is one of those things that's often overlooked, and I think a lot of beginners make the mistake of not thinking about it as seriously as it impacts. One of the things we've always got feedback on about our tutorials, for instance, is that our sound quality is good, and that's ultimately more important than if my face goes slightly blurry now and pixely. That's not as important as the sound breaking up. That would make a huge difference. And the same's true in a game. If you're firing a weapon that doesn't sound like it looks, then you don't feel the way that
We were
you
looking
want
at
people
like
to feel.
quick little courses we could make, and I made a really quick demo of a twin stick shooter, and I
Yeah,
showed it to Mikey, and we're both looking at this as like, this is boring. Like, I don't want to teach this because this is just dull. And it's dull because what would make that game interesting is good sound design,
yeah,
which is not a
definitely.
gameplay mechanic. Like, that's not something you learn in Godot. That's something you do in sound design, in Audacity or Helm or any of these other programs, right? Where the weapon has a serious punch to it. The enemies have a sound that you can identify. There's this
Yeah.
moody atmospheric back, whatever it is, right? You create that world because actually a twin stick shooter is just like a bullet hell game. Move out the way and shoot things.
Yeah,
Like,
very, very,
it's not
very
a fun
simple
mechanic on
mechanic.
its own.
Yeah, and if you get that the sound along with maybe some particle effects or shader effects on top of that, you will stand out amongst every other stick shooter that doesn't do that. And that's
I saw
fundamental,
footage of an upcoming game, Tesla versus Lovecraft, twin stick
right?
shooter, and it looks amazing. Like, I want to play it, and it looks amazing because the graphics, the lighting, and the sound are amazing.
Um,
The actual mechanics of the game are not that interesting.
I mean, let's face it, we are human at the end of the day, and us humans like shiny things. If it looks shiny and it
It
sounds
brings you
good,
into the world. Like,
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that.
no, not at
It's
all.
an important skill. So I'd love to do a serious sound design thing. I am not a sound engineer. I've done sound in theatre, enough to know I'm not a sound engineer, but I haven't done it in games. And this is something that we came up with in Godot Getaway, right? We wanted to give the car engine noises. Oh no, I wanted to give a tire screech because if you there's a way that you can get the vehicle body to report if the wheel is skidding. I thought, great, I'll just use a tire screech. So I found a tire screech, and the moment I put it in game, the game wasn't fun because
It was
your
annoying.
brain understands how
Mm.
tire screeches should sound. And if it sounds wrong and it's the same tire screech every time, it just breaks the illusion. So it was better not to have that or engine noises than it was to have bad ones.
Yes. And in fact, for our particular game, I don't think those sorts of sound effects would have added to it because one of the main draws was the electro synth or the electro swing. There we go, electro swing music background as you go between the different quadrants of the city. That was the main driving force of the game, and so I would have thought by trying to even blend in sound effects that you would take away from the game rather than add to it.
Yeah, and we do have like the pipes when the scaffolding drops down,
Yeah.
and even that gets repetitive very quickly. But that's like four or six different sounds that just pick randomly every time it collides. So it sounds a little more realistic.
Unless you end up with a physics problem where they're jittering about, at which point you've got something that sounds like
Well,
industrial
no,
rave
you do
going
a
on.
check. If
Yeah.
there is a collision and you're not playing, then do a thing.
Yeah. So you don't get the machine gun effect with your audio triggers.
Will you analyze the electro swing drum programming in the course? I won't. Will you, Mikey?
Analyze. I don't know what you mean by analyze. We'll be creating it, so we'll definitely be looking at the fundamentals of building up an
Are
actual
you going to be
drum
talking about
track.
what a swing rhythm is?
Yes, in fact, that's one of the lectures I was preparing today. It's quite a difficult thing to explain. Ultimately, if you've got a bit of music theory background, it will certainly help with any of this. But at the same time, we're trying to make the courses accessible, but we don't want it completely dry. So we'll cover theory topics when they rear their head, rather than covering theory topics and then going on to using them. It can be quite dry if you try to approach it in a dry manner, as they say. Yeah.
I used to say dry more.
Yes. Dry.
So yeah, that's the thing. Do we have other questions?
Are we
I'll wait
human?
till people type them in.
Or are
I don't
we
know this song.
dancers?
I don't know this song.
I'm trying to
I know
remember who
Bang
it's
Bang
by
Boogie
now.
Boogie Bang Bang.
Woogity woogity bang bang woogity.
No, mine is
No.
by Skinned, and it's a terrifying song, so I'm not going to link that. But
Fair enough.
yeah,
yeah,
I'm not going to advertise this band. I love this band, but don't.
Not safe for work.
That's not the problem. The problem is they base all their songs on true crimes.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I can see where that.
Ones.
Yeah.
So maybe don't. If you don't already know this band and you're not already a fan, you shouldn't be listening.
Don't look it up. Yeah.
Yeah, especially not around your kids.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to building up the drum patterns, the bass line, the chords, etc. To just build up the piece. Even though it's fortunate that we've gone for an electro swing, because then we can really hammer home the repetitiveness of electro music anyway, which is great because then we can use building blocks for the music, and it suits. This is one of the reasons why we picked electro swing. Not only did we like it, but the fact that we could gel other styles together because of the electro sound between the different regions of the game. So we could have the same underlying chord structure or just the same underlying beat, and that has links, so you can mix between all of the 4 zones that we'll end up creating quite easily.
Yep. I mean, there's nothing stopping you creating more than 4 zones.
Oh no.
Like, we just do it because it's a nice easy split, but if you want 16 zones, go crazy.
I shall check out EXO. In fact, I think I'm going to put it later in the course about VST instruments. VST is a standard that was adopted many years ago by Cubase, Steinberg's Cubase, I think. But basically, a VST instrument,
like I know this,
or filter. I use them in OBS at the moment. I've EQ'd my my voice using a VST plugin, which is awesome. The fact that you could do that. So these plugins extend your.
Does that mean that all your lectures are going to be like a robot voice vocoder?
Hello guys, how are you? Let's do some music now. No, it's not going to be like that.
That's not your tagline, is it?
Let's hop on over into Ardor.
Let's not hop on over into Blender.
Yeah, so it's these VSTs. I'm going to put that more in the later part of the course, because going back to one of my earlier points about simplicity breeds creativity, if you give someone if I could provide you a VST instrument that had all, let's say, 20,000 sounds or samples, you would just spend all day going through them and you wouldn't actually produce something. I know this will happen because I've done it. So it can be a curse and a blessing having a huge resource.